We anything, we in this thing. You are now watching Juke Boy Sports Show. I'm your host, King Ralph, here with my homie and the co-host, the homie Kai. What's happening, bro?
I'm doing wonderful, man. I am energized. I am hyped up. No, I didn't take an energy drink. I know it's nighttime, but I sense greatness in the air. NFL season is tomorrow night, man. So
Yeah,
I'm excited.
I'm excited. And we got a long show to get to, but this show's been brought to you by Fitboxer. If you want to do a podcast like what you're watching, music videos, photo shoots, call the number on the bottom of the screen, 707 Fitboxer. Make sure you follow all of our socials. It's a lot out there, but you got to like the page on Facebook, the He Say She Say channel. Make sure you go on YouTube, subscribe to the Juke Media page, J.U.K. Media. Make sure you go on Instagram and follow at J.U.K. Sports Show. Make sure you follow me on all my socials. And there's a little ticker at the bottom, but make sure you go on Twitter, Twitch, for Instagram, TikTok, Twitch. Make sure it's at KYNGRALPH. Add an underscore for Twitter. I'm also on Threads. But if you want unbiased basketball analysis, go to the.house of hoops on Instagram. Kai will get you right for the NBA season. And we got a lot to get into, man, so we're going to jump straight in. What are some coaches that's on the hot seat, brother?
The block is hot, as the hot boys would say. We're going to start off with Bill Belichick. Ralph, we got the Patriots. New England Patriots have not won a playoff game in 4 years. I don't even remember what I was doing 4 years ago. I think I had started a new job or something. But but since Tom Brady left, they had 2 losing seasons in the last 3 years. One of the years that they made to the playoffs, I want to say, was 2021 when they faced the Bills. They had a 30-point drumming to the Buffalo Bills, 47-17 blowout, which is the largest blowout in the Bill Belichick his career. Third largest, highest points allowed in New England Patriots history as well. So that's all bad. You get Mac Jones, you bring back Bill O'Brien, but you don't even have the quarterback in that division, Ralph, to really contend with an Aaron Rodgers or with a Josh Allen. And then finally, I'm looking at Bill Belichick's record. What have you done for me lately, right? And his resume says he's 36-44 with the Cleveland Browns without Tom Brady from 1991 to 1995, and they made one playoff appearance. So it's almost like history is repeating themselves. So I got Bill Belichick, and then my last coach that I got, I had Ron Rivera as well, but I'm not really going to get too deep into that. And then I had Brandon Staley, last late game coaching decision. You remember this? Versus the Raiders, man. It's like, wait, you calling the time? No. All right, we're going to end you right here.
Right.
And the Chargers blew a 27-point lead in the playoffs versus the Jaguars last season. They have a newly paid quarterback, highest paid of Justin Herbert, new offensive coordinator, and Kellen Moore. So it seems like the odd man out would be Staley if they don't progress. So those are my 3 coaches. Back to you, man.
All right. Back to you on the field, Bob. So my coaches, I got Mike McCarthy, Dallas Cowboys. Now he's calling the plays. Got rid of Kellen Moore. The defense that they have and the weapons that they signed on offense, I just feel like at this point you got to produce something. I'm not saying get to a Super Bowl, but get past the second round or get at least past the first round. Have a good year. We'll get into division winners, but win a division, get to the second round. I feel like that's a good, solid season. You would like for them to get to an NFC Championship game, if not get to the Super Bowl. But I think he still has a job, even if he gets to at least the second round.
Okay.
But hot seat, you gotta give me something. Josh McDaniels, you gotta put something competent on the football field this year. You got rid of Carr. That was your scapegoat after your initial season. There was Devontae Adams, how that situation is being handled. He's not getting any younger, although he's the best wide receiver in the league. At the age that he's at some point, 31, 32, 33, you're going to have some type of slip-off. So having the best wide receiver in the league with the weapons that they had, bringing in a Michael Mayer, Jacoby Myers, and putting him along with Renfro on the
Mm.
outside with bringing back a Josh Jacobs. Now you have a quarterback who knows your system and a Jimmy Garoppolo. Are you going to be able, is the defense good enough to at least hold afloat? Or can Jimmy Garoppolo run the offense in a way that he wasn't running the offense in San Francisco? And so for me, Josh McDaniels got to give me something. And my last but not least coach is, you brought him up before, so I'm not going to take too much time on him, but Bill Belichick, man. It's no Tom Brady. You built this team and then you're coaching them on the field. At some point, you got to produce something.
Facts.
And those are my coaches that are on the hot seat.
I like it.
Next up, we got players who are poised for a breakout season. I'm going to let you – I'll go first because you went first last time. I got one of your boys, Rashad Bateman, wide receiver for the Baltimore Ravens. We talked about how well of a polished receiver he was coming into the league. Now he has weapons on the outside along with him. That wide receiver room is deep, but I think that he has the talent to be a wide receiver one, based around even necessarily a high level wide receiver two. So I think people are going to be keying in on Zay Flowers and the speed that he has. Obviously, they're going to key to Mark Andrews, and now having Odell, I think it'll leave him in a position where he's going to get a lot of one-on-one opportunities, and he's going to get a chance to eat. And so I got him poised for a breakout offensive season. I can see him being 1,000-yard, 8 to 10 touchdown receiver this year.
Okay.
On defense, I got Jaquan Brisker, safety for the Bears. I think his versatility, being able to guard the slot, being able to guard tight ends, be a playmaker over the field is something. Over the middle of the field is something that the Bears defense needs. And while being able to shore up some of those tackles in the open field, I think he had like a 14.5 missed tackle rate or something along those lines. And so being able to shore up those tackles from year to year, you see the talent there. And I think that that is the strength of the defense, is their defensive back room and core. So those are my breakout players. Who you got?
Okay. I like those, especially with D'Amico Ryans over in Houston. So my two breakout players on offense, I have wide receiver from the Pittsburgh Steelers, George Pickens. You're looking at someone who's 6'3", 200 pounds, and maybe even more. Large frame, huge catch radius. Was recently caused some stir in the media due to Ryan Clark's assessment of calling him more talented than Justin Jefferson, a receiver who's had more receiving yards in his first 3 seasons, and I think in the NFL history. But George Pickens, he's the real deal. And so now we're just waiting for him to make that additional leap. I believe that him having the rapport with quarterback Kenny Pickett, the Pickens to Pickett duo is going to be something that is going to be dynamic. I actually heard Patrick Patterson on a podcast with a former defensive back on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I forgot his name, but he's on CBS Sports headquarters now. Shout out to him. He said he reminds him of DeAndre Hopkins due to his large catch radius and with a mixture of Chad Johnson's body structure being lean and awkward, but yet deceptive with his speed. So I listened to Patrick Patterson. I listened to Ryan Clark. I also have to see him twice a year, George Pickens, and he has spectacular catch ability too. Last season, 52 catches, 801 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns, and most importantly, the best ability, Ralph, is availability. He played all 17 games in 2022. So George Pickens is my offensive player poised to break out for 2023. On the defensive side of the ball, I have Christian Barmore from Bama, defensive tackle for the Patriots. His rookie season, I believe he had like 51 pressures, and he was 9th amongst defensive linemen. And then he had the 5th highest pass rush win rate. Last year, he had, I believe, a knee injury, but he's still ranked 6th in pass rush win rate, playing in that Bill Belichick defense. Remember, they used to have Vince Wilfork back in the day guys. So I think that him just kind of taking over that big interior middle defensive role is huge. And I think he's going to continue to blossom and continue to progress. So those are my two players.
Hey. Yeah, I think there's a couple others that could possibly get some of that juice, some of that love. I think Breece Hall being able to come back from his knee injury
Most
and
definitely.
the flashes that he showed last year, he's gonna be someone. We'll talk about them in a little bit, but Jahmyr Gibbs can come in and right away have a breakout season.
Yeah.
With the talent level that they have. So I'm kind of curious to see what happens with that, but and who ends up actually getting the award. But we got division winners, man, off rip. How about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys?
I think that the talent that they have, it is one of those things where they have a lot of talent. Can they put it together and actually be able to win a Super Bowl? It's one of the over the last couple of years, you always hear Cowboys, we're going to the Super Bowl. So now this is your opportunity, man. I think that you got Dak, if he can avoid the high amount of turnovers that he had last year, interceptions and fumbles, and bring that down, cut it at least in half, and have more of a 30 touchdowns to lower it down to like 8 interceptions from 15, then you're putting yourself in position where your defense is going to be able to keep you in games regardless of how well you're playing on offense. Just don't turn the ball over. And that's who I got. And when the NFC East, how about them Cowboys?
Yeah, so I'm actually in agreement with you, Ralph. So we don't have a disagreement here. I believe the Dallas Cowboys will win. The last team to actually win back-to-back division titles, I think it was like a stretch of 3 or 4 in a row, was the Eagles, but I do know that they're a little bit older on that offensive line. They're a very talented team. They're depth, but they were relatively healthy last year as well. And I think that I'm never, wishing on injury, but I think some of those things can, attrition can catch up to you at times. I'm looking at the Cowboys for the same reasons as you, along with you add Brandon Cooks, someone who's been productive everywhere that he's been at the receiver position, a veteran receiver. You get Michael Gallup returning, this year. You add a reliable veteran and a former All-Pro and Stephon Gilmore at the cornerback position. And then you have Tony Pollard, who's actually in a contract year, unrestricted free agent in 2024. So I think the game plan will, give him as many carries as possible so that they can win the division. And also you have Deuce Vaughn, who can come in and spell him at times, someone that they like, real shifty, et cetera. So I look at Dallas Cowboys to get to win the NFC East as well.
Me too, man. I think that is. I think they just got a lot of talent. It's time for them to put it together, bro. At some point, you got to put it together.
Yeah.
NFC West. This is one of the ones where I was like, I wanted to go Seahawks, but they're not going to be able to sneak up on people this year like the way that they did last year. So can that talent stand and withhold that type of threat where they're going to come for you now? And I still just think that 49ers have too much talent on both sides of the ball, and that over time, Brock Purdy will be competent enough to where he'll lead that team on to victory in the long run. So I'm going to take 49ers.
Okay.
To win the NFC West.
Okay, I'm in agreement with you. I like the Seahawks. I think they could be a sleeper team. We'll get into that later. But I think that when we're looking at the NFC East, I believe that they have the 2 best players on both sides of the ball. On the offensive side of the ball, you have Christian McCaffrey, who I believe will be an Offensive Player of the Year candidate. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you have the newest, highest paid I think a defensive end or whatever. Defensive end in NFL history, and Nick Bosa. So once I heard that news, I'm like, well, Bosa's back, right? So
Right.
you have them. You still have Fred Warner there. You still have some other guys on that defense. I believe they got Hargraves, right? They added Hargraves from
Yeah.
the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, so then you have Brandon Ayuk. You have Debo Samuel. You have George Kittle, a premier tight end, a top 3 tight end in the NFL. So I'm looking at the 49ers for all the reasons why you said, and plus some. And you also have Kyle Shanahan, who's a good coach. He hasn't won a Super Bowl yet, but in terms of just getting regular season success, his resume is proven. So I'm gonna go with the 49ers as well, man.
And next up, who that said they're gonna beat them Saints?
Okay.
Man, I got the Saints, man. I think the addition of Derek Carr, while also being in a position where they had an amazing offense, you're getting Michael Thomas back. You're adding Jamal Williams, who was a touchdown machine, goal line machine last year, being able to give Alvin Kamara a spell while also being the running back 1 in that offense. While I think that the emergence of a Jawan Johnson at tight end is one of those things where you're going to give them ample weapons while being a top 10 defense, and then having Derek Carr, who's a top 10 quarterback. Sky's the limit for them. So Saints win an NFC South.
Okay. So eventually, I think we might disagree about something down the line. We'll see. But I got the Saints as well. I think Derek Carr having the familiarity with was it Dennis Allen? I believe. I could be mistaken, but he has familiarity with coach over there. So having that familiarity, having a Chris Olave, having a Michael Thomas, getting Alvin Kamara off of suspension. Also, that defense is kind of sneaky, and it's hard to play in the dome. And if they're going to be putting up points in the team and they're going to win some games, then you're going to start to see that home field advantage reign supreme. And then you look at the landscape of the NFC South, Ralph, the quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, right? I believe C.J. Stroud is there.
Yeah.
Then you have in Carolina, and then finally Desmond Ridder, who I seen Desmond Ridder play, man. It's like one of those Stephen A. Smith things. Desmond Ridder, I don't really know. But yeah, but they have talent at other positions. But once again, that defense still needs to bolster up in Atlanta to me. So I'm gonna go with the Saints as well. So yeah.
And then next up, the NFC North. The North. Ugh. This one's hard for me, man. Because I think with Aaron Rodgers leaving, it's leveled the playing field.
Okay.
And so, but also, it's like Minnesota should run away with this division.
Yeah, they should. They should.
But it's like every year we be waiting on them to do something. Right. They got Justin Jefferson over there, add Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson. They kind of take a step back on the runnings on the running back side, but they still have an adequate running back in Madison. So Kirk Cousins should be able to right the ship, but it's like the defense isn't that strong, and Kirk Cousins doesn't show up in big games. Right. So for that reason, I'm going to take that tough-nosed, giving everything they got, Detroit Lions. Detroit. Where Jalen Rose at?
All right. So you're gonna go with the Lions, huh?
Them Lions. Detroit Lions.
Okay. Yeah. So I feel you on that. I feel you on that. But you know what? I'm gonna switch it up. Because I just, why not? I'm gonna switch it up, and I'm gonna create a case. Because we've agreed on the first 5. So I'm like, you know what? How about we do this? I'm gonna go with the Packers. And some people say a little bold because Jordan Love and et cetera. But I think I like what's coming out of camp from Jordan Love. He has a Christian Watson there. I think Christian Watson will take another step. Aaron Jones. You could say that the Green Bay Packers, they have the most secure running back situation in terms of the veteran running back. And then you have a sleeper in A.J. Dillon, someone that can get touchdowns there as well. And you have Matt LaFleur. You have the coaching, someone who's won division titles as well. So I think if you mix the coaching, you mix the receiver play, and you mix the running game and the defense, we'll see how that stirs up. But I'm looking at the Bears defense, and they don't impress me, right? Yeah. So I think the Lions are the most talented team, but I'm gonna go with the Packers. I'm gonna make that case for the Packers and go with them for the NFC North. All right.
I can see it happening, man. I think that he's shown from training camp this year. Mm-hmm. History would tell you that the Packers don't have an issue finding at least a competent franchise quarterback.
Right, he's gonna be the next Bart Starr, man.
And so I don't see it. Plus, you never know, man. This is one of those divisions that can go in any direction.
It really could.
Because I actually have the Bears winning 9 games this year.
Ooh, that's a tough division then.
And so I think it could be a tough division.
Mm-hmm.
But NFC East.
Okay.
Oh, boy. I went with the Dolphins, man. I think Tua will be healthy enough to make a difference with that offense, the offensive weapons that he has. And then Jalen Ramsey being able to come back later in the season, God willing, I think that they'll be able to put up enough wins to be able to win that division.
Okay. I'm going to let you know that the New York Jets have been working on me, man.
Good.
I'm starting to sit up there and I'm like, the Jets are starting to work on me. I don't know if you saw that episode with Michael Irvin when he was in person, when he was talking about Quentin Williams.
Yeah.
He's like, you got to let the fat boy loose, man. He's like, I'm gonna get 20 sacks. He's like, you see him with Hard Knocks, I'm gonna get 20 sacks this season, man. Yo, that talent is so. They're a talented team. Sauce Gardner, Quentin Williams, C.J. Mosley. I know him very well because he's our linebacker. Aaron Rodgers, right? I'm trying to think when Aaron Rodgers didn't win the division. That's actually a good question. When has Aaron Rodgers not won the division when he was at NFC? We'll see. It might have happened. I think it did happen one year.
Right.
Robert Saleh, he's been on a championship team. Chris Garrett Wilson, I don't even know who else they got there. They got who we sat up here and talked about the Dolphins should get. So
yeah, they brought over Cobb and Lazard.
And familiarity, and I know they have all the expectations and all that. So you know what? I'm gonna go with instead of my gut, I'm gonna go with my head, Ralph. For the sake of, I don't want to agree on everything.
On everything?
Yeah, for the sake. So I'm gonna because of everything I said, I'm gonna go with the Jets. I feel like the Jets should win the division, but they probably, they might not for everything you said. So I'm just going with this. Let's keep moving.
Next up, AFC West.
All right.
And I so badly wanted to go with the Chiefs, but then after looking, it's like, all right, so Chris Jones,
you got Chiefs colors on, man. I don't know, man.
Travis Kelce,
mm-hmm.
Losing Eric Bieniemy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like at this point, it'd be easy to just put them in there and think they're a shoe-in, but I'm gonna believe in the Chargers to break through this year. LA Chargers, talent all over the field on both sides of the ball. Justin Herbert got his money. Kellen Moore calling plays. I think that it's gonna be enough where this year they get it together and make a strong playoff run.
Okay. I like it. For everything that you mentioned, I feel like the Chiefs have cracks in their armor, chinks in their armor this season. I believe they're going to still make a deep playoff run. I still think they're going to win maybe at least 10 games or, even more in that division. But I think that when I look at the Chargers, let's talk about the Chargers. You get the return of Rashawn Slater, right? You get Kellen Moore, an offensive coordinator who's going to move the ball down the field. And people could say, well, if you move the ball down the field, doesn't that mean that you increase the chances more of interceptions? But then you think about who's moving the ball down the field, someone who has really good ball placement in Justin Herbert. So I don't have any concerns about that. You add Quentin Johnson from TCU, who I wasn't a big fan of coming out of college. The tape don't lie, but he gets to learn real world experience, Ralph, from big receivers in Mike Williams and mainly Keenan Allen, because Keenan Allen is the one that can run something other than the 9 route. But we're real, man. Because shout out to Tar. Tar was like, yeah, nobody else on there learned anything from Keenan Allen. Those big receivers. Mike Williams still runs the 9 route. And they all get hurt. But anyway, and you got Josh Palmer and you got Austin Eckler, man. I'm like, they just have too many weapons. And like another quarterback, Lamar Jackson, you pay Justin Herbert, so he doesn't have that hanging over his head. Then defense, they have talent on the defensive side of the ball. So I'm with you. I think that the window is open for the Chargers, and they just need to seize it. So I think they're going to at least be regular season warriors and win the AFC West for the first time since Drake dropped the So Far Gone mixtape in 2009. So that's what we roll on, man. I just want to be successful, as they say. All right.
And you're funny. Your references, bro. We're looking at AFC South at this point. I think
your favorite quarterback
will come back from a major deficit. I think they showed a lot of strides last year, getting to a certain point. I think Jacksonville Jaguars, man. I think the addition of Doug Peterson, squeezing all the juice that he could out of the potential that Trevor Lawrence has. You bring in Calvin Ridley. You bring in you actually are able to get something out of Evan Ingram. We've been waiting for Evan Ingram to be that guy for the longest. You get something out of Alvin Ingram. You got Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby, a defense that looks formidable. And so all of these things put together, weakness of conference. You got DeMeco Ryans, who I think is going to be a really good coach. I think eventually he'll get the Texans to be running for that division, but I just don't see it this year. C.J. Stroud being a rookie, Will Anderson being a rookie, can he help Derek Stingley reach that potential that he had coming in as a rookie? I just don't see it right now. Anthony Richardson and the Colts, I just don't believe in him as the quarterback of the future, especially like this season.
They just threw him out there, bro.
Right, throw him to the wolves. He'll be all right.
Yep.
And then the Tennessee Titans, man, until they make a quarterback change, you got to show me. So AFC South, going to them Jags. Duval.
All right, so my AFC South division winner is not just another guy, as they used to call the Jags. It's the Jags, led by none other than Sunshine himself from Remember the Titans. Sunshine. Trevor Lawrence, man, that division is a piece of cake for me. You know, they say don't count your chickens before they hatch, but I think they're going to win that division handedly because you have 2 rookie quarterbacks in the division. You have one who is coming off a college career where he didn't really have that much going for him in the college ranks, let's be real. And then you have a disgruntled running back in Jonathan Taylor, so he doesn't have a safety valve. And he has Michael Pittman, and everyone's going to key in on Michael Pittman. Talented receiver, but who else do you have, right?
Right.
So I look at that. I think defensively is where the talent lies in Houston with Will Anderson, with Derek Stingley. But once again, Derek Stingley, he has to stay healthy. He had injury issues like his last year or so at LSU, so he has to stay healthy. So I think despite having the best quarterback, the best coach, in my opinion, in Doug Peterson, getting Calvin Ridley, someone who shot to your boy Devontae Adams, was on, I believe it was the I Am Athlete show, and he talked about Calvin Ridley and watching film. He's like, I watched the tape. He's like, Calvin Ridley is like that dude, right? So he's one of his top receivers in the league, even coming off a year or 2 year layoff. Yeah. So I think having him, Travis Etienne in the backfield, right? Tank Dell. I think it's Tank Dell. Yeah. So I think we just have a lot of
Houston.
Tank
Bigsby is in Jacksonville.
Okay. Good. Shout out to that because I'm too many tanks, man. Too many tanks. Someone needs a nickname, bro. Somebody.
Be original, guys.
Right, TB30 or something. I don't know. That's what you can call it. I'm looking around. They just have playmakers at all levels. So I'm gonna go with what did I say? The Jaguars. The Jaguars. All right. Let's keep
Going up
moving.
north. We're going to the north in AFC, man. Who you got?
The North, I have the return of the king of the North, Lamar Jackson in the Baltimore Ravens. The reason why I have the Baltimore Ravens is not because I'm a fan of the Baltimore Ravens. We've stressed that more than enough times on the show since the inception of the show, right? But the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson got his money, got his money. He no longer is playing with the weight of the world and the weight of the contract on the shoulders. They brought in Todd Monken, offensive coordinator from Georgia, who won 2 back-to-back national titles at the collegiate level, also has NFL experience on Tampa Bay and Cleveland Browns, and he has a rapport with Odell Beckham Jr., who they also paid $18 million, a premium to get. They draft a first-round receiver, Ralph, and Zay Flowers, who I believe is the best receiver in the draft, creates space, hasn't been able to be guarded in preseason. Defensively, something that people don't talk about. They only allowed like 14 points per game in the second half of the season once they got Roquan Smith. Kyle Hamilton is there. The return of Marcus Williams, right? You get David Ajabo. We're going to see what we're going to get out of him. And Bowser's back. So I think defensively they're very, very underrated. And I just think that the receiving core is really deep. Isaiah Likely. You have Isaiah Likely. You have Devin Duvernay as like your 5th receiver. Tylan Wallace is healthy finally. So no one's really seen him on the NFL because he hasn't been healthy. He's healthy. So I'm looking at everywhere that is deep. I think it's going to be a tough division, though. And we can get into that, like, I guess, some other date because it would be too long-winded. But I like the Ravens to win a tough division. 3 teams are going to come out of there, but that's my division winner. All right.
I agree, man. I think that all of the obviously the Bengals can win with that offensive firepower that they have. Good young talent on defense. They have a middle of the pack defense, but when you have a top 3 offense like Joe Mixon, that 3-headed monster in that wide receiver room, and Joe Burrow, if they could keep him clean and healthy, the sky's the limit. And then Mike Tomlin's always gonna have them boys ready. He gonna get a winning year. Can Kenny Pickett and George Pickens connect enough to make a difference offensively, while also can Najee Harris get back to form? Mm-hmm. They got some offensive line help during the offseason and through the draft. So that division could go in either way, and Deshaun Watson has been talking lately about how he's back to form. So that's going to be a tough division, but I got Baltimore pulling it out, man.
All right. I like it.
Next up, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Go crazy.
All right. So the last 2 Offensive Rookie of the Years were receivers. It was Garrett Wilson and I forgot the other one. But it was receivers, right? One of those, and then if you go back further, one of those Offensive Rookie of the Years back in 2014, right? My age, Odell Beckham, and he is the mentor of someone who I think is going to be in the running, Zay Flowers, right? But I'm looking at it. I just think the Ravens have a lot of depth. I think Zay's actually going to do really well. Draft him in fantasy. I think he's going to do well. But the more I think about it, Ralph, I'm going to go with the pattern. I think it's going to be running back this year. A year that everyone's talking about how the running back is expendable, the running back is disrespected. No one cares about the running back. We don't need a running back. I think the Lions think differently. I'm going to go with Jahmyr Gibbs. I think that Jameson Williamson not being there for the first 6 games, you have him on Ross St. Brown. I think that's not going to change the connection. So that's only going to create less stacked boxes. But he wants to have 1,500 yards, I think, receiving or no rushing, and like 1,000 yards.
It's 1,500 yards total. He said 1,000 yards, 1,000 yards rushing, 500 yards receiving.
Okay, cool. I'm about to say he's coming in and doing McCaffrey numbers. Like, hold on now. But yeah. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, you know what? I like the Lions, and I think that if everything holds true to what you said, Rob, about them winning the division, but have the exposure, and I'm gonna go with Jahmyr Gibbs. I just think opportunity. I think he's gonna get the opportunity, and I think you have a guy that you like. So I'm gonna pass it to you.
I'm gonna stay running back, man. I think that the Bijan Robinson, he's gonna get an opportunity to prove my comparison of a LaDainian Tomlinson in this new day and age, where Yeah, they already had a 1,000-yard runner, so he'll be able to split carries with him to stay fresh. But in training camp, I know it's training camp. People are running with shorts and t-shirts, but at a certain point, what he's been able to do, the way he's been eating up these linebackers in one-on-one um, slot work, even going up against other teams,
Yeah.
linebackers, he's been destroying them. So I think his ability to affect both the pass offense, being a three down back, and potential, I got him going. I got him around those numbers. I think he has an opportunity to get about 12 and be close to 2,000 yards of total offense.
Yes. Yes.
And that's for me where I got him, why I have him at that rookie, offensive rookie of the year.
Okay.
Defensive rookie of the year, I got Jalen Carter, Philadelphia Eagles. I think his versatility, being able to be a pass rusher on the outside, be a pass rusher up the middle, be able to good hands, good technique to play the run as well, looking so polished with a chip on your shoulder. I think that he's definitely going to prove dividends. I had Will Anderson at one point, but I just felt like who else is going to help him on the line? So I took Jalen Carter because he'll get more one-on-one opportunities.
Okay. Yeah, I like it. I had Will Anderson as well. And I don't think either of us would be surprised if he won it or maybe somebody else. But I think I know for a fact, I'm looking at, I have Jalen Carter. For everything that you mentioned, I mean, he blew up our left guard, whatever, Ben Cleveland, even though in his defense, I've said before, Ben Cleveland has been on the tier of, we drafted him and it's like, bro, you need to show up. But Jalen Carter is also like really good. So no shame in your game, right? He's learning from Fletcher. He's learning from the other guy that they have there. I forgot his name, but they just have a lot of defensive veterans, savvy veterans. He's going to get one-on-one matchups. So I agree with you. I don't need to go too much more in depth than what you did with it, bro.
So, who you got for Coach of the Year?
All right, Coach of the Year, I have Doug Peterson. If the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to win the number of games I expect, which is going to be 13, at least 13 games, I believe the Jacksonville Jaguars will be the number one seed in the AFC. And I have Doug Peterson improving upon his season last year with a quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. All right.
And I got Matt LaFleur, man. I think with the job, this is going to be a job. This is actually going to be a job where he will get an opportunity to show how great of a coach he can actually be. No Aaron Rodgers. You got a good young quarterback who's got some time to learn from Aaron Rodgers. Your wide receivers are going into year 2 because you had a really young wide receiver core. Shoring up the offensive line, getting back some injured players, while also that defense that they had, and being able to bolster up that defense through the draft, free agency. He has an opportunity to win the division, which, with no Aaron Rodgers, puts you in a position to where you can win Coach of the Year.
Okay. I like it.
Then Offensive Player of the Year.
So, Offensive Player of the Year. You want me to go on that one?
Yeah, you go first because I got to make a decision on mine because I'm second guessing mine now.
Bro, there is so many people. I'm like, do I go with Tyreek Hill? Because Tyreek Hill said, I want to get 2,000 yards.
Right.
But your quarterback doesn't stay upright. Well, you get 2,000 yards. So I'm like, And, that playing that Jets division, that's kind of tough, man. I don't know about that. Greg Rousseau, the Bills, I don't know about that. Then I see Justin Jefferson again. I see Justin Fields. I see so many different, people. But I'm like, it's Justin Fields. I had to be Justin Fields because I think no one saw him running that way in college. He's running the ball. I think that he's going to have to run the ball and throw the ball to produce because of that defense. DJ Moore is going to get him easy yak, Ralph. Easy yak. Just throw it to a screen. He's gone, right?
Yeah.
Cole Kmet, the running back situation, everything. I think Justin Fields is going to get it. They don't have to win the division. I just think that he's going to ball out. I think this is his year for the Offensive Player of the Year, and I'm going to go with him because my other guy was going to be Christian McCaffrey. The only issue I have with McCaffrey is durability. So I'm gonna go with Justin Fields.
And for me,
I like C-Mac, but
I'm gonna go Garrett Wilson, man.
Ooh, okay.
Garrett Wilson. I think that what he was able to do last year, being a 1,000-yard receiver with whoever was the quarterback, the ability to have a trust of an Aaron Rodgers. We've seen what Aaron Rodgers can do when you have his trust. He'll pretty much force feed you the rock, while also being someone who he came in the league top 20 receiver. So now can he start to make that ascension at 22 years old? I believe he can. Getting a quarterback, having weapons on the outside, being able to learn from a Lazard and Aaron Rodgers, and having a good running core is going to open up things to where if he can get to 15, that'll put him in a position where he can run for Offensive Player of the Year.
I like it, yeah, because the connection between a quarterback and a receiver is the most important.
Right.
All right.
Next up, Defensive Player of the Year.
Oh, so we're in agreement with this one. I'm going with Micah Parsons, man. I think moving him to the position that he fits best, even though you can move him everywhere, but I think being closer down there to be able to get to the quarterback, I think that's going to reap its benefits. You have Stephon Gilmore, like I said, you have Trayvon Diggs, someone who gets a lot of flack for giving up a lot of yards, but he also gets interceptions. Very Marcus Peters like when I think about that. So I'm not really worried about that too much. And Micah Parsons was runner up each of the last 2 years. It was between him and Myles Garrett. So and the Browns have a nice little line there as well. But I think that Michael Parsons is the guy who's going to be the face. And if the Cowboys are going to win the division, they're going to do it behind, in my opinion. It's going to be a collective effort, but I think the defense is going to have to lead the way. And if they want to make a deep run in the postseason, the defense has to lead the way. So I think Micah Parsons being the leader of that defense and producing this year, I have Micah Parsons winning the Defensive Player of the Year.
And I do too. I agree with you 100% on that. I think that it's time. I think he has the experience to match with the talent level. And if that defense is highly ranked and the team itself progresses the way that I think that they could and should, it'll be an easy case for him to be as long as he's anywhere from 15 to 20 sacks, the versatility that he shows, I have him being, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it, I have him being Defensive Player of the Year as well. And for MVP, I am in agreement with SB Nation and who they have as the favorite to win the MVP. But I'm going with Trevor Lawrence, man. Sunshine. I think what he was able to do last year, 30 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and his numbers were very comparable to Jalen Hurts, although Jalen Hurts did miss 2 games. But being in the second season where we questioned him whether or not he was a bust or not, now he has a playoff victory, a comeback victory against a quality Chargers team up against another young gun quarterback who has as much hype as you. People feel like is more talented than you, but you running Dougie P's offense, who is a Super Bowl winning head coach. You have a quality team around you, offensive weapons galore, and a quality defense. You're going to be able to be up in the win column a lot. I think being able to get to another level, and Dougie P just recently came out and said that Trevor Lawrence, his leadership is to the comparison of a Tom Brady, a Aaron Rodgers. So I think him being able to take that step to the next level, his mobility is a factor as well. He'll be able to get you to an MVP, and I believe he will be the MVP this year.
Okay, and so I'm not going to harp on it too long, but everything that you just said is the exact reason why I have Trevor Lawrence as my MVP. He has the weapons around him. He has the division advantage. I think he has the coach advantage. And I look at process of elimination, Mahomes and losing things going on, voters fatigue. I'm looking at Justin Herbert and, potentially the team, how that's going to be. I'm looking at Lamar having won it already, but I think Lamar's going to be in the race. And, Jalen Hurts in that tough schedule, even though I believe that tough times make tough people. And I don't have any qualms with Jalen Hurts, but I think Trevor Lawrence is that perfect new face. So I'm going to go with Trevor Lawrence as well.
And next up, last one before we get to our quick hitters. 2023 Super Bowl prediction. Personally, for me, I got Saints and Ravens. I think that the Saints, with everything that I mentioned before, you have a top 10 quarterback, weapons galore. Barring health, you have a top 10 defense, you have a top 10 offense. That should put you in a position to where you should be in the Super Bowl contention. And I think that Derek Carr is going to shock a lot of people because he's been looked at as this middle of the pack, whatever quarterback. But I just think a lot of it is based on a team thing instead of looking at the individual. And then for all of those reasons, Lamar getting a new coordinator, more weapons, paid. He's been heard. Now it's time for you to produce top 10 defense, top 10 offense, maybe even be a top 5 defense, top 5 offense. And that's the Super Bowl.
All right.
I'm going to go as far as to say who's winning yet.
Yeah, don't say who's winning yet.
I'm not going to say who's winning yet. That's for another show. But
things can change too.
Saints, Ravens in the Super Bowl.
Okay. So my head.
I think it's in Vegas.
Yeah, it's in Vegas. I was talking to the homies.
Derek Carr wins a Super Bowl in Vegas,
bro.
Hey,
if somehow we get entries to the Super Bowl, bro, that's a once in a lifetime moment. It's in our backyard, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Oh God.
Yeah. So my head all offseason, Ralph, real quick, has been saying all offseason, but Eagles and Ravens. I'll tell you when it started. It was a draft. I saw we got Todd Monken, right? And then all of a sudden the Eagles, who were drafting before us, we drafted before them. But either way, they kept getting Georgia defensive linemen. And so I'm like, what if Todd Monken faces his old line in the Super Bowl? What if we have a bird bowl? And it just punned. And then I always overthink things. And then once I overthink, I wind up being wrong when I should have went with my first prediction. But anyway, I'm like, the Eagles are just the clear cut to me. On paper, they're the best team in the NFC. And I was like, you know what? I think they have the leader that would allow them to get back and the talent allow them to get back and the coach. But they did lose some coaching, I think, in the coordinator positions. And the schedule is just so tough. And so I think that, potentially not getting that 1 seed could, we'll see how that goes. So I had them versus the Ravens, but I want my team, how I want to win. And so I was like, you know what? If they get there twice, I don't see the Eagles losing. So I'm like, you know what? The team that I had them playing in the NFC Championship game is going to have home field advantage. And that's the same team that you happen to have. It's the New Orleans Saints. So we actually agree. We have the New Orleans Saints and Derek Carr, who I felt has been disrespected, coming back to Vegas. Ooh, boy, I think he will feel some type of way about that, not you.
Right.
And I think Lamar Jackson and just them doing everything right in the offseason, even firing Steve Saunders, who hopefully will see that payoff in injury. So I'm going to go with those two, and I'm not going to tell you who's winning. All right.
Yeah. And so we got our quick hitters, man. I'm going to lead off. It was a big topic over the weekend. Coach Prime was able to lead Colorado and them boys. Shador setting records. Travis Hunter doing some stuff that we ain't never seen.
Both sides of the ball.
On both sides of the ball. How many wins, realistically, do you expect from Colorado?
Realistically, I'm going to say that they're going to get 7 wins at least. At least. How many do you need for a bowl game? 8 or do you need
around that
7, 8 sometimes?
Yeah.
I think they could get a bowl game because I just think he's that much significantly better than the coach that they had before. I also think that when you have a whole scale change of a team talent wise, like literally the whole roster almost like is different. Yeah. You have the quarterback and you have the former number 1 recruit in the nation on your team. I think they can win at least 7 games. What if they won more, Ralph? But like I said, let's see what they do against Nebraska. I know you said they're going to win, but
it's going to be a challenge for them, though, because
it's going to be a challenge.
They've always said, and if you know anything about Nebraska, they got big corn-fed defensive and offensive linemen. Right. And this is a game where
the trenches
is really going to decide it. Now, I think on the outside, even given new talent, is going to put them at a position to where they're just going to have better talent on the outside at the skill positions. But the trenches is really where the game is going to be won. And so for me, I got them at about 8, 9. I can see as high as 10.
Okay.
Because if you look at the games where the games that they should have some type of trouble, or even just going through their schedule,
they got a marquee matchup. I think like 6 or something. I think
they got. They should have Nebraska, then Colorado State, then they have Oregon, and then the week after that they should have
Williams.
That's when they get USC.
Bo Nix and Caleb Williams back to back.
So I think the caliber of quarterback that they're going to go up against. That's a battery in Shador's back after the game that he just had this week. So you go prime is a prime motivator too.
Hey, that's a bar right there.
Like Shador. Look at who they had as the greatest college quarterback. You can go up against him. Oregon. Look at what the Oregon has, and they're ranked 15. You can go up against him. You win those two or have a game where you're not the reason we lost and you're the reason that we were even in the game, that puts you in a Heisman position, which is one of the reasons for him moving.
Right.
And so I realistically got them going 9. I had that when I was looking, I could see them going as high as 10-3, but I have them losing to Oregon, beating USC, losing to Oregon State, and Utah.
Well, if you have them beating USC, then I believe the Heisman Trophy will lie in Colorado. But we'll get to that next because that's actually a perfect segue, I think.
Right? Yeah. Who is your Heisman favorite?
So right now, my Heisman favorite, I'm going with the defensive and the offensive side of the ball. So that means I get to pick one player. Normally you would say, wait, what do you mean defensive offensive side of the ball? You picking 2 players? No, I'm picking 1 player. But no, I think I don't even like saying favorite, Ralph, because of the game.
Yeah.
It's like 1A, 1B. But I'm just saying off of positional versatility, I'm going Travis Hunter because that stop that he got was a key stop.
Yep.
And that interception, I remember watching the game. Also, the stamina that he had to do, he played with like 119 snaps or something like that. Yeah. Had like 119 yards receiving.
Crazy.
And then didn't allow a touchdown and had a pick. Like, woo. But then Shador completed 81% of his passes, over 500-something yards, like 510 yards. And he broke a record that was stood for like 130 years. Now, some people say, well, Colorado, they're a bad football team. Colorado also was a historically good team at one point and has
a national championship.
Right, exactly. So it's not like
people don't want to talk about it.
Right, it's not like you open a record book and it's blank. It's like there's no pages. No.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
they have a Heisman winner.
Yeah, so I have them 1A, 1B. So you can flip-flop them any way you want. And then Caleb Williams is 3. Now you'd be like, what do you mean Caleb Williams is 3? Because I'm looking at talent. Like, they didn't play TCU, and Caleb Williams' ball placement was amazing. But Zachariah Branch, and I want to see that matchup. Hunter versus Branch, Shador versus Williams. So I don't know. You could have it reverse or other names in there. I'm curious who you have, man.
I have those 3 names, too.
Okay.
Sorry to be a prisoner of the moment, but from what I saw, you got Caleb Williams putting up video game numbers. You got Travis Hunter doing some stuff we've only seen in a video game.
Right.
111 receptions, 119 receiving yards, and a key interception.
Right.
And when you look at that play, that's a touchdown if he doesn't make a great football play.
Mm-hmm.
And so then Caleb putting up those numbers, Shador breaking records, breaking the school records, first game in. I just think that it's hard to have anybody outside of those three.
Okay.
And so I got my Heisman favorite. I'm gonna pick. Those are my three finalists at the end of the year. Shador is my Heisman winner.
Okay. Okay. I like that.
And then next up, we got who is your sleeper team this year, this NFL season?
All right. So my sleeper team is actually the same as the team I have in the Super Bowl. Like, well, yeah, it's the Saints. Why? Because last time I checked, me and Ralph are actually the only people that I know that are actually talking about the Saints. I'm telling you, I don't see no coverage on channel TVs or whatever, or YouTube things. I'm watching stuff on YouTube that I've been watching. I don't see it on Speak. I don't see it on First Take. I don't see it on these shows. No one talks about it. Even Chris Collinsworth was like, well, Derek Carr, well, on the Rich Eisen show. Like, it's the Saints. It's more than just one person also. Like, it's a whole team. So I got the Saints because I have yet to hear anyone say that they're going to the Super Bowl. My other honorable mention was the Seahawks. So who do you got, man?
I got the Saints too, but for the sake of argument, I'm gonna go Jacksonville Jaguars, man. I like that. I think that for Trevor Lawrence, there's another level to his game that can be unlocked, which can be unlocked when you have a legit number one receiver. Not to say that those guys were slouches over there, but there's a certain level of talent at the wide receiver one position that he's a legit guy.
Okay.
At the end of the day, Calvin really has the talent to be a top 10 wide receiver. Yeah. Just stay out of trouble and stay on the football field. And so I think when you look back at what Calvin really was able to do, he missed games for mental health reasons and then was eventually suspended for gambling while being away from the team. And so you bring someone back who has been out of the league for almost two years, a year and a half, to be exact, but also putting the weapons that he has around that team with great coaching. I think that they can go far. I got them winning 12 to 13 games this year, especially in that division. They can definitely go undefeated.
Right.
And so next up, we got our last one bold prediction for the NFL season.
So bold means it doesn't have to be outlandish, but it's possible. It could happen. Yeah. It could happen, like the dude from Angels and Outfield. Hey, it could happen. After that inspiring speech by the Arizona Cardinals head coach, the head coach inspired the team to want to quit and lose every game. The Arizona Cardinals will go 0-17 this NFL season. Ralph, did you know only 5 teams in NFL history have gone winless? And most recently, it was the Cleveland Browns. And I want to say 2017, right? So the Arizona Cardinals are going to break that record because there's more games to be played now. And they're going to go 0-17. They won't win a game. Kyler Murray will be playing in the minor leagues next season. So I have the Arizona Cardinals going 0-17 and winless.
Winless?
Yeah, I really don't think – and it's a bold prediction, but I kind of believe it. So I don't think they're going to win the game, bro. It's tough to win the game.
Bold prediction.
Bro, I think people are going to ask for trades. I think a lot of things are going to happen. Contract restructures.
Bold prediction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I went with a team that I think is going to be bad.
You know what? After thinking about it, the Chicago Bears will win the division.
I like that. Ooh, I can see it's possible. It's possible.
The Chicago Bears will win the division. I think Justin Fields being able to take his game to another level, the weapons. They have good young talent on defense. My biggest scary thing, the thing that makes me scared the most for them and about them, is the lack of pass rush. But if the defensive backs That DB core can make some plays, create turnovers, i.e. a Peanut Tillman. Bears winning the division.
I
And
like it.
thank you all for watching. We got the ticker going at the bottom. Make sure you go and follow all of our socials. Like our page, the He Say She Say channel on Facebook. Subscribe to J.U.K Media, J.U.K on YouTube. Follow at the.house of hoops on Instagram. And we're out of here. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Peace.